Hi everyone, welcome to 5 Questions with LeRoy Butler, and we're here after Packers improved their record to 9-4, and they're heading into Chicago with a chance to clinch the division.
Now, do you see the Packers playing up to a high level, or do you see the Bears collapsing? What do you?
I would say right now, in my opinion, the Packers are clawing out victories.
Yeah.
You know, they're doing just what it takes to win, and the Bears are doing just what it takes to lose.
That's true. That's true.
What about you? How do you see it?
I see the Bears. I expected the Packers to come on. I didn't think I'd see the Bears just fall apart like this.
Four straight losses.
I thought the way the Bears defense were playing, the scoring every week, sacks, fumbles, causing fumbles, I thought you'd see that for the most part. I was not surprised that Adrian Peterson got 154 yards on him, but I was surprised that, you know, losing 4 or 5 games kind of a head scratcher, because at one point they were 7-1.
7-1, yeah.
And it was everything was in their lap. Now they're second to the Packers. So now the Packers, own their own destiny, and they can just knock the Bears out right here by winning the division. So I think right now the most talented team, moving forward has to be the Packers, because they've been there before. The Bears are, to me, a team that are in a state of shock.
Packers have won the last 4 against the Bears. Should they go in there arrogant and feeling like, we own these guys and let's just walk all over them? Or should they respect, have some respect for the Bears?
I think you go in there arrogant and say we're better than this team. We have a better quarterback. Jay Cutler's quarterback rating against us is non-existent. I don't think mentally he thinks he can beat the Packers. He's always going to throw his interceptions. Yeah. We're going to always sack him. So when Matthews come back, he's going to get 2 or 3 sacks. You have to think like that going into this game. You also have to think, Tom, when we went to the Super Bowl, we celebrated on this field. So there's no home field advantage for the Bears. We can go to the south side of Chicago and dominate. So I think the more you let the Bears hang around, the harder it can be. Now, I will say this. If you come out flat like you did against Detroit, and Chicago gets up 14 points, now Chicago is an experienced enough team to extend that lead.
Right.
Although the Detroit Lions just fell apart.
Yeah.
Fumble, Daniels picks it up, scores, things of that nature, and they just fell apart. So for that reason, I think the Bears, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but if they lose this game, the Bears, I can see them ripping this thing up and starting over.
Yeah. They probably needed to do that anyways, just because, they're an aging team, but they didn't want to do that for Jay Cutler and,
And they finally got him some weapons, but he didn't. The second game of the year on a Thursday night game, Packers dominated, for the most part. But, Brandon Marshall gives an element to their offense that's a kind of a bailout.
Yeah.
Because you can always throw to a 6'4", 6'5" wide receiver when he's one-on-one.
Sort of like what Brett Favre had with Sterling Sharp. Play breaks down, just throw it to him.
Just throw it to him and he'll make plays happen.
And we'll talk about it in X's and O's.
Absolutely.
Too. Let's talk about the Packers. Most outsiders are assuming that Matthews and Woodson will be back for this game. Mike McCarthy has hinted towards that. Woodson practiced last week. We'll see where Matthews is on Wednesday. I would assume they're going to play. Now the question is, how much do you play them and what role do you give them?
It's a good question. If it were me, M.D. Jennings goes to the bench. You put Woodson exclusively at safety. It's easy to talk about what you do with Matthews. Frank Zombo, have a nice day. Go back to the bench, you put in Matthews, you keep rolling with that. But the secondary is a lot of moving parts, Tom. You got to keep the guys, for the most part, intact. So Casey Hayward stays at the nickel, although he's a very soft blitzer. He doesn't blitz the quarterback well, but he's very good in coverage. Woodson goes to the safety in the base and the nickel and the dime. He exclusively plays there. I feel good about that. Casey Hayward is your nickel. Now, here's the problem. Devon House to the bench. Bring in Sam Shields. Sam Shields always have great games against the Bears. So, and I think for the most part, now you have your most experienced team, your most athletic team, and plus you got two guys that if you need to go to M.D. Jennings and House at any time, you feel good about that situation.
Well, I'm wondering how much they want to use House against Alshon Jeffrey because of the size factor. Do they want, you know, the 6'4", 6'5" guy against Sam Shields, where they can just throw it up? Now, Sam Shields is, you know, definitely has covered guys like that before.
Yeah, he has.
But, you know, you have to think about those kind of things. And
yeah, and I think that's the reason why they get the coaches are put in that dilemma. But again, experience to me weighs on potential.
Yeah.
Because I think Sam Shields, although he's not a real physical guy, you know, nobody can outrun him on the field. So he can always be on top of the receiver. But if him and Jeffries get into a jump ball situation, he may lose that. But then again, House wasn't real violent in his coverages against a non-factor wide receiver.
But you got to assume he'll come back. He'll come back, and that's kind of his history. He was a little bit soft, and he kind of turned that around. And I think he fell back into some bad habits in that game.
And I think it's a good changeup to kind of use both guys.
Yeah, right.
You know, if you do want to stay with House, and you got Shields coming off the bench, I feel good about that as well.
Okay.
Because you have a bigger, more physical corner. But if it were me, Sam Shields would be my nickel corner outside.
Okay. Trivia question: What? Who is Duan Harrison? What college did he go to?
You know, I think for the most part it surprised people because you always thought about running backs around the league were bigger, stronger guys that pick up the blitz and things of that nature. And this is not something you've seen the Packers do in the past. You know, a short guy, but you know what? He may be one of the toughest guys in that backfield.
I was trying to think back, and the only guy I could think of that was even close was Damon Parker. Remember that guy? Yeah. Similar, a little bit similar, but this guy's even shorter than that, and he's built differently.
Right, Brandon Jackson.
Yeah.
Shorter guy, but he's a little different because he's a quick hitter.
He didn't have the speed and quickness that this guy has.
But Harris has that quick ability. We saw one play. He fell down, got up before the guys can get to him.
Yeah.
He adds an element to this offense, Tom, that people will start to say, hey, you know what? They got almost a three-headed monster with Ryan Grant now.
Yeah.
So, but Alex Green is still the guy.
Alex Green has to be the guy. When you need tough yards, he's got to be the guy.
He has to be a good changeup. But I was very, very excited to see Alex Green on the perimeter. He ran through some guys. Maybe it was because he wasn't in on the first start. You know, guys have egos like that.
Or maybe
but he's still the guy.
Maybe he feels more comfortable because Starks is out and that he is the man now.
Yes.
He's finally the guy, and maybe he feels like he can take more chances and not play cautious.
When you get that offense, you could put 26 in there. You can get 85, 18, 87, 88.
Right.
These are a lot of weapons. So if you're Chicago, now you got to put 26 up on your board and say, hey, you know, we got to watch for this little guy when he's in there. He's hard to find behind those big linemen.
You got to go back and look at Troy University tape because where else do you know?
Troy University tape.
Troy
Do they have tape?
I don't know. That's a good question because a lot of people passed on this guy. Let's talk quickly about Jay Cutler. Sounds like he's going to play. He announced yesterday that he's going to play. He's got a sore neck. I don't know. He's a pretty tough guy. I know people make fun of him. And,
he is very, very tough guy.
You know, for being petulant and all, but he is. He takes some shots.
Yeah, he's the kind of guy that if you're the defense on the Bears, you want Jay Cutler in the game. He's fearless. He's been sacked more than anybody in the world, seems like the last 5 years. But not only that, the throws that he can make, not many guys can make those throws. And not many guys will try it. But if you're the Packers, he's going to give you 2 opportunities a quarter for an interception. You catch him, you win the game. You drop him, the next one may go over your head for a touchdown.
That's right.
You want to frustrate this guy. You want him on the sideline arguing with his own people. You want him arguing with his linemen. And not to mention, their offensive line is awful. So with all that being said, if I'm Jay Cutler, you know, obviously you want to play in a big game, but the Packers are going to be bringing pressure. And that's what I think that's the whole game plan is going to be.
And you talked about it, touched on it, and we'll touch on it some more in X's and O's. Brandon Marshall is his go-to.
Yes.
Get it to him at all costs because the guy's phenomenal, isn't he?
Yeah,
I mean,
he's
you can't
unbelievable.
Stop him with one guy.
He's going to be at over 100 catches really soon. He'll get 20 targets this game, but Tramon Williams had a great game last week. Calvin Johnson, another big guy. I see him doing the same thing. Remember the first time the Packers played Brandon Marshall, he was non-existent.
Yeah, no.
So they're going to
Neither
take
receiver
that,
was. Yeah.
Right, they're going to take the same game plan, mix it up a little bit. They're not going to be afraid to play one-on-one with Brandon Marshall because they weren't against Calvin Johnson. It was sometimes he was one-on-one with Tramon, and Tramon did a great job. So I just see this defense getting a great jolt with Matthews, and if they can get Woodson back for any amount of time, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so should be an interesting game.
Yeah.
Division on
you
the
give me a
line for the
prediction?
Packers.
No, don't do that.
Nah,
don't do that. Leave the prediction stuff to me.
Yeah.
Thank you for the Salvation Army doing the most good. And, of course, thank you for Sidnix Ballester, owner and operator, for doing a great job during the holiday season. And plus, you can pick up my new cookbook at all of those stores. And, again, thank you for WJ Kuhn in Oak Creek for any of your automotive needs.
Don't forget to stay with us for X's and O's.